Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh from MitsuTimes. Today, my guest is Jason Flesher. He is also known as Mr. Boost. He is the owner and driver of the 8-second Evo 8 that you've seen. It's blue. Definitely one of my favorite to look at. It's in the top 10. How are you doing today, Jason?
Very good. How are you guys doing?
Great. It's a pleasure to have you on. I've been a fan for a long time. Definitely, watching you kind of progress through, you and Ben, kind of the Boost and Evos has been a pleasure over the years, and I love to see that you're on the cusp of sevens, and I think we'll get it soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got to take a couple more stabs at it, get some more seat time, and I think it'll pay off for us here soon.
Man, let's hope. We're just breaking records left and right this year, it seems like.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of competition out there, and a lot of good setups, a lot of people competing, which is good for the community. It keeps everybody going, keeps everybody chasing other goals, and ultimately that's what we're all after, chasing goals and having fun.
Definitely. Hopefully it brings some new people in. I mean, it feels like not so much this year, but it felt like the last couple of years it's been just kind of onesies and twosies out there. So I'm hoping that some more people start shooting for some big numbers out there.
Yeah, it's been a little stagnant, but the main people that have been out for a while, they continue to push the bar, and new people come in, and that's always what we're looking for. Example, Rich Young, he just came out, and he's been working on that car for a little while, and he's been trying to go fast with it, and it wasn't working out, and all of a sudden he just got it together, and now that car is going sevens, like a blink of an eye, which is also incredible.
Definitely. All right, Jason, so could you tell us about your blue Evo as it sits right now?
Yeah, sure. So the car sits right now, it's a 2003 Evo 8. It's got a boost and performance built 2.0 Demon spec motor. It's basically a long rod, aluminum rod motor, cast block, no billet block here, maybe down the line. Full fill. It's got Slickricks ported cylinder head, some custom comp cams, some big boys. We're running on only 4 injectors, and it's on Ignite Red, so it's kind of like an E90 blend. 4 injectors. It's not on methanol. Quartermaster clutch, triple disc, PPG dog box built in-house by Boost and Performance. And we're also using Precision Turbo 7285 Next Gen. It's like the sport front-wheel drive turbo, the class legal turbo. Custom turbo kit by Fat House. He's a really good guy. Like anything that I want done, anything custom, he's always up for it because he's an OG, Evo guy, 4G guy at heart. So glad he takes care of me with that. Aeromotive, mechanical fuel pump with the Fat House fuel cell up front. It's got a Haltech 2500 tuned by Devin at Boost and Performance, and that's pretty much it.
Heck yeah, man. That's some top tier parts right there.
Yeah, you gotta put together a good parts list if you want to have a winning combination for sure.
I wonder if that people have said in the Evo world that you're really good at consistency. So I wonder if maybe that's your key, is just the best parts and the best tuner.
Yeah, the best parts definitely, but it's just a matter of actually going out there and putting a time to the parts. You want to be able to test what you've improved on the car parts wise. And we do a lot of testing over and over again at the track. It's not build the car, go out once or twice a year. When we go out, it's like once a month, twice a month, just to get the car lined up and dialed in. I might not post it every time that I go out, but there's always improvements every time we go out.
Yeah, I now that you say that, I think back to seeing you at MITM and was it Texas 2K? I don't know. It seems like I have seen your car at a lot of events now that you say that.
Yeah, I don't travel as much as I'd like to, because the funds aren't necessarily there for me to travel cross country nonstop.
Right.
But I would like to, and it's just being a part of different track surfaces, seeing how different tracks, are compared to our track at home. But I'd have to say out by me, we have some pretty good tracks out here.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're in like the spot for record breaking tracks right there.
Yeah, Devin went sixes, real close to home. And I mean that track's only like an hour and a half away from me, about an hour from him. So and they just like resurfaced the pretty much, I think, like half track, and it's real smooth. It's real nice. Great Lakes Dragway in Wisconsin.
And it's crazy how good Great Lakes is, and Devin still says that Bradenton is his favorite track. So I can't wait to see what FL2K does for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially because they just redid that track, too.
Yeah.
He'll be out there. He'll be out there swinging for the fences with the Demon.
Yep. He said he wants to run sixes in front of the crowd, so I think he's gonna do that.
No doubt. That car has a lot left in it. The pass, when he went 690s, you can just tell by looking at it, like it's got an 80 or maybe even a high 70 in it, depending on how well it can hook up.
Yeah, he said that it didn't even feel like a good run to him, so I think that says a lot about that car.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jason, what made you choose the Evo 8 platform?
So way back in like 2009, we did a lot of like street racing locally. And believe it or not, I actually had my first boosted car. It was a Saturn Ion, like a Redline, kind of like similar to the Cobalt with the supercharger on it. And I was just watching like these Evos get down on the street, and they were just nasty. Like they were out of the hole, like nothing could keep up with them. Actually, believe it or not, you probably are familiar with Merjan. He's up there on the Evo list. I was actually watching him get down on the street before I had my Evo.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he had I think it was just a pretty basic, like built motor 635R setup, on it, and he would just drive it around, tow it around on the street, tear people up. It was him and Joey Vittorio, who used to have black Evo, the junk box Evo.
Oh,
I'm sure you remember that car. He used to have that car in like an FP Red, and it was a street machine. So that made me want to I need to get one of these cars, So I ended up getting a white one, and I had it shipped from Arizona. 2 days later, I was driving it to the DMV to get it registered, and a guy cut me off and then totaled it.
Oh my!
So I only had it for 2 days, and luckily enough, they found it to be his fault. So then I got another Evo, a silver one, which is actually my car right now. It's went through tons of changes. Obviously, the paint was one of them. But yeah, that's kind of what led me to want the Evo, just the street scene out here and seeing them dominate.
That's crazy how long those guys been doing that then.
Yeah.
All right, so what was this car like when you first bought it? This one that you have now, it was just completely stock?
Yeah, it was pretty much stock. It had just an intercooler and exhaust on it. That was pretty much it, with the shitty paint job, shitty grape or silver paint.
Is it wrapped in blue or painted?
No, it's painted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks super clean in person. That's why I was thinking, man, that car's silver?
Yeah. Zolper's Auto Restoration, after I spun out at the half mile, way back when, they repainted the whole car blue. It was painted blue before, but the guy that did it did such a terrible job, and there was runs all over it. And
oh, jeez.
So, yeah, I had to have it painted twice, actually. So they did it, and now, it's definitely better. It's hard to keep a drag car, a show car, as much as you want to try, it's just impossible to do.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when you first bought this car, like you said, you just wanted to kind of have a street setup. You obviously you weren't looking into very low eights at the time, right?
No, absolutely not. That wasn't even on the radar. It was just like, let's have fun with this car. Let's see what it's about. Let's get our feet wet. And that's exactly what we did. I went from the 8 turbo, we ditched that thing, and then we went to a FP Red stock motor with ethanol, and we ran that for a little bit. It went, I think, a best of like 11.1. I was trying to go 10s with it. I think it went a best of 11.1 with some like drag radials or something like that.
It did the 11.1 with the FP Red?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was fun. It was a street terror. It ripped around. I actually think that was probably one of my most favorite setups, just being a street car and not overpowering the street, just something that hooked up, something you could take out every day, enjoy. that was definitely one of my most memorable and favorite moments with the car.
Definitely. The FP Red is perfect street turbo.
Yeah.
So we talked about the different setups you've had in it. Have you had any different setups in it over the past few years that's kind of got you leaps and bounds to where you are now?
Well, yeah, I mean, since the FP Red, it blew up a stock motor. We went to the 64, 66. It was like right when they came out with it.
Yeah.
It was brand new. We put it on the car, and it just made gobs of power. Like, it made like over 800 horsepower on Boost and Performance Mustang dyno. And that was really what set the car off, and it started going nines, and that's the first turbo that I went nines on. And that's, I think, the best time we got out of that turbo was 926 at like 161 with the synchro trans stock final drive. So like that was pretty impressive for the time being.
Heck yeah.
The 6870 we put on the car after that, it really didn't give it that much more pep. We kept going 9.0, 9.0, 9.0 like a bracket car for a while with that turbo. And then Devin was like, man, we need to do something. We need to put something big on here so you have no problem dipping into the eights. And that's when we went to the 76, 75 from Precision, the Gen 2, not the Sportsman cover, the H cover.
Okay.
And we started going, I think I went eights for the first time with that turbo, and that was on low boost. It was like 45 pounds, I think we were targeting. And once we really started leaning on it and cranking it up more and more, it was, I think it went to best 840, I want to say. So I was pretty impressed with that turbo. That was definitely one of my favorite turbos because you could it just had it all. It had the response was there. It wasn't as laggy as like an 85 turbine, if you shifted too early, you wouldn't affect the pass that much. It was a good turbo.
So was it the 6466 or the one that helped you run eights? Was that when you took the car off the street?
I took the car off the street when it was at 64.
Okay.
It was too much for the street. I mean, it was overpowering the street. I even had drag radials on it, like Nitto 555Rs,
right.
And it was spinning. I mean, you would lose to a 500 horsepower car on the street.
Jeez.
Unless you turned it down. But yeah, there is that threshold where too much power, I mean, the power sounds great, but if you can't lay it down effectively, then there's no point in having it on the street.
Right, it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah.
It's not good for drivetrain parts either if you're spinning all the time.
No, absolutely not.
So, Jason, if you could start all over, you think that you would still progress through those turbos like that, back to the one that you're at now, and have it as, a race car and not a street car?
Honestly, if I could start all over again, I would probably do the same exact thing, go through all the phases with time in between to enjoy them all. That's the biggest, I think, setback that some people have. They think I'm going to build this car because everybody's making 700-800 horsepower. They're making gobs of horsepower. I'm going to do that. If you've never built the car before and you've never driven a 700 horsepower car before or whatever, don't just go ahead and think that that's the right thing to do. You're probably not going to enjoy it as much as you would a car that's, less maintenance, a little bit slower, but more effective.
Right.
I like the phases that I did go through, and it led me to become the driver I am today, to be able to drive the car in the 64, be able to drive it on the 68, 76, and now the 7285. It's all about the progression. If you just jumped in the gun, there's a lot of guys that jump it and then they can't drive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they've never driven the car before like that. So I would definitely do it the same way.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense that, it definitely seems like it would be a very hard transition from FP Red to the 7675 and still be able to drive it like you were driving it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Sport Compact Warehouse. Sport Compact Warehouse is your premier source for performance car parts and accessories, with everything from lug nuts to turbochargers to clutch assemblies to front mount intercoolers. They have whatever you need to get your Mitsubishi up high on our list. They've been operating since 2001 and offer over 1 million parts for nearly every Mitsubishi model available. They have 24/7 live inventory and free ground shipping on orders over $150. Find their huge selection of parts at sportcompactwarehouse.com. So why do you keep pushing this car instead of, we see so many different platforms coming out? What makes you stick with your Evo?
I just think that every time I take the car out, we learn something new about it, or it blows us away. Like, we never thought this car would be capable of what it has done, and every time we take the car out, it's just more and more impressive. So that leads me to believe that there's just that much more that we can get out of it. Just from when we put the 64 on it and the car was going bottom nines, Devin was like, "Man, this car is a freaking animal." We went eights, and I never thought the car could go eights, and now it's on the verge of going sevens.
Right.
And it's just all about the progression, all about seeing, where we can make improvements to go faster, and that motivates me to, continue pushing the platform, as well as, friends, everybody else that's out there that's racing this car. We have a really good community. The 4G community is strong. Everybody's, for the most part, friendly with each other. There's no real hatred or competition or anything. Everybody really gets along, and seeing everybody else's progression only drives you to become better and you to become faster.
Definitely. Just like we're saying before we started recording here, it's like, it keeps people motivated to keep going through and to keep pushing their cars.
Yep, absolutely. And what you guys are doing at MitsuTimes is definitely a good thing. Keep everybody on page, keep everybody on track, keep everybody informed on what's going on in the community. That's awesome that you guys decided to go about that.
I appreciate it. Hopefully, we can bring the Evo title back to the States.
And hopefully it's going to be a big feat, but
yep. We got some fast ones out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think when English gets their car back out and figure it out, they're definitely going to be a top contender.
So, Jason, we're recording this September 2nd. Nick Amaral just broke into the sevens. Talk us through what it took for you to be number 8 on the Evo list now, and to what being in the top 10 means to you, and how much of a special thing that's going to be to break into the sevens.
So nothing comes overnight. I've been working with this car for a really long time, like 12 years, getting it set up how I want it, getting it dialed in. Being on that high up on the list right now, it's like mind blowing, because I never thought that somebody that wasn't necessarily a shop car could even compete with, a top 10 list in the world.
Right.
So like that, I take a lot of pride in that. And, I don't have a fantastic job. There's been tons of overtime put in to fund this car. And just for me to be up that high and to be competing with some of the bigger guys, it's just like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome to see the cars that aren't backed by shop make their way to the top. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to do, but as long as you, keep your head down and keep to the grind, you can do anything.
So, Jason, if there's somebody out there, they're building an Evo, their ultimate goal, their long-term goal is to be where you are, to be low 8s, top 10 in the Evo list. What advice would you give them from all the experience that you've gained over the years? I know you just talked about not just going from a 16G straight up to a 76 millimeter turbo, but what would really make their progress a lot more successful?
I'd have to say, set yourself up with the people that are successful in that field right now. So I learned a lot from Devin. Clearly, he's the 4G king. He pretty much, everything that has been done to his car in one way or another has found its way into my car, from various parts of the tuning, different combinations within the motor, the cylinder head, just everything. So that definitely helps set yourself up with somebody who's successful already. They know the platform. They can definitely tune the car, that is a huge, that's key.
Yeah.
That's definitely key.
His experience kind of bleeds over into your experience now.
Yep. Yep.
And that's a heck of a amount of experience to ride the coattails of. I mean, that's a lot of experience right there to be, have as something that you can go to your toolbox and get.
Yeah, and if your tuner can be with you at the track, like Booster provides a lot of track support. So almost every single time when I go to the track, Devin's there, and he wants to see, the car be successful. He wants to be able to see me, run a personal best. And he's always, coaching me, like, look, you can drive the car better here. Look, you need to shift higher here. Just have somebody that can look at the log. Somebody can tell you what's going on with the car. Somebody that has been there and has done it before. Because if you take your car to any other shop and, they're not necessarily known for having fast Evos, like, you might not get the results that you want.
That makes sense. Do you have any goals for this year, before the end of the racing season that you hope to attain with the car before the season's over?
So the only real event we're going to go to this year is a shootout. All the other events are pretty far away, and what is it? FL2K kind of overlaps with the shootout, and I can't go back to back Ohio to Florida within a few days. World Cup, we raced World Cup last year, and it wasn't. I mean, it's a great event, but I don't feel like the class that I had to fit into, Super Street, was kind of geared towards Evos winning. It's just, I had to add a decent amount of weight to the car, and there was some other restrictions. But we plan to go to shootout. The goal is to go rounds. We might not put the kill tune up in it during eliminations, but when we go there Friday, we're gonna have it on kill to make a good qualifying hit, and hopefully it'll be nice and cool, and we can give it all the beans, give it what it's got. Let everybody see a 7-second pass under the lights in Norwalk.
Definitely. That's what I love to hear. I'll be there. I want to see it in front of my eyes.
We're going to do it, man. It's close. The car's very close. Judging by the data on the 60 foots, all it needs is a little bit more boost, but we're still got this stock, not the cast block that's in the car. We're kind of playing with fire a little bit.
Yeah.
Last shootout, we cracked the block. I thought it lifted the head, but it actually cracked number 4, the cylinder wall. So
Jeez.
Hopefully we don't have that happen this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you guys were swapping ahead. I didn't realize the block was gone too.
Yeah, that's what we thought. We're going to try to go another round, I had another head. We're going to slap it on there, but wasn't the case.
Wasn't meant to be.
No. Maybe down the line, a billet block is something that I can look into if I decide to, continue to push it.
Right. So, Jason, do you have any long-term goals with this car? I mean, does it stop at just a 7-second pass?
I would just like it to be a 7-second car. I wouldn't say consistently, but just be able to go out there, enjoy it, and have fun with it, and be racing with all my friends. That's my ultimate goal. I mean, this platform isn't really designed to go that fast. You know what I mean? There's only a few people far and in between that have done it.
Right.
Just go out there, run some sevens, have fun with it, and not, do too much maintenance on it. That's the long-term goals for it. Maybe put a better cage in it, because right now it's only set up for, it's got a 10-point Molly cage in it. Maybe do a 25.5 in it. It really needs it,
So you got some kind of off-season upgrades, hopefully.
Hopefully. Or we might start with the new chassis. I don't know.
So is there any event, you talked about the shootout. Is there any events early next year or midsummer next year that somebody could come out and see this car in action?
Well, I don't really have much planned for next year as of now.
Yeah.
But any of the local streetcar takeovers, I really enjoy. The stick shift class out there is pretty hopping usually. There's a good variety out there. Any streetcar takeover, I sometimes go to IFOs, not too often. The shootout, obviously. Might try to do, I don't know, maybe Texas 2K if I get antsy
Yeah.
with the car, but that all depends on what else I got going on with it, if it's in the middle of a build phase or whatnot.
Okay. So I always like to talk hypothetically. We talked about so many fast cars coming up through the list. In your opinion, what do you think the future of the top 10 of the Evo list looks like? I mean, we see a lot of cars that aren't racing anymore, but we also see a lot of, not a lot of contenders coming for the big top spots. So, in your opinion, what does the top 10 look like?
I mean, I think the top 10 there's going to be a few people moving around on the list, but I don't see many people coming up to replace people that are already there on the top 10.
Yeah.
Just because it's pretty hard to do, the top 10's what now, like 8-2?
Yeah, 8106.
Yeah. And it's definitely pretty hard to do unless you've already have a car that's out there doing it.
I think Ben will get into the top 10, but I think past that we won't see much.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to be up there. He'll bump into the top 10. Hell, at one point he might even pass me up. I don't know. But he's another one that really has came far, and he started a little similar to me, and just the car's an animal. I mean, it went 8-1 for the first outing this season, and which is pretty impressive. And he's only going to go quicker from there. I know he's doing some updates to the car right now regarding the fuel, and once he gets that set up, I'm sure he'll be out testing before the shootout.
And I know the TPG crew, I think they're getting pretty serious with their Evo. I think they're shooting for low eights too, so maybe we'll see one or two new faces. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we'll see the top 10 leapfrog each other, but I don't think we'll see a whole lot of movement outside of that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Jason, is there anybody that you want to give a shout-out to for helping get the car where it is now and, kind of bringing you along into the top 10?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to first start out with my wife. She's a huge supporter in my hobby, and I feel like if you don't have a spouse that supports you in your hobby, like, why have the hobby?
Yeah.
And she's always the one to be like, all right, let's do it. If I need to help pulling the motor one night, she'll come out and help me in the garage and pull the motor. She's not afraid to get dirty.
Heck yeah.
And that's I commend her for that. She's always helping me around the track. She does the laundry just like she does the laundry at the house. My buddies Jay and Mike, who are my pit crew, crew chief Jay and my buddy Mike, they both help me thrash on the car in between rounds, and whatever we need to make happen, we make it happen. I know last year at the shootout when we had another shift rail issue, it dinged the dogs in third. We had the trans apart, and my buddy was actually straightening out a dog with a flapper wheel. So it was definitely amazing. I would have to say also, everybody knows that the car is affiliated with Booston. They've helped me leaps and bounds progress with the car over the years. From building the motor, Devin tuning it, the track support, and just the overall knowledge that they have with the platform. It's incredible, and that's definitely shows within the car and how well the cars have performed over the last 10 years that I've been with them.
For sure.
I'd also like to thank Quartermaster for their continued support. They actually just refreshed the triple disc in the car, so we're going out with a fresh triple disc, so we don't got to worry about pulling it at the shootout. Yeah. Precision Turbo, their 7285, they helped semi-sponsor the car last season, so that definitely helped out. Fat House for always going above and beyond and knocking out any project I might have. He did the whole turbo kit, the catch can, the dump, exactly how I wanted it to fit, and it fits great. It's a one-off setup. TRE, John Ripple and the guys over at TRE, they built me a badass T case, and they also did their drag spec rear end on it.
Oh, wow.
And then I'd have to say you guys for always, keeping the community informed and keeping the competition going. Without you, I mean, we would still be looking at forums from Evo M.
Well, I definitely appreciate that.
Trying to find out who's fastest. It just makes it a lot easier, with your site, so we can compare, time slips to times, and definitely helps a lot.
For me, the part that I always wanted, when DSM Times was still a thing, was you could see what kind of setup somebody had, so you could be like, okay, well, I want to run this time, so I could just, buy this turbo, start from there, and this is what I want to do.
Yep. It could be relatable. I mean, you just have to, like I said, be able to drive the car, and it boils down to you having the right setup, and then the confidence to make it go as fast as that person.
Yeah. And like you said, the experience and the knowledge the tuner has to have to make the car. Just because you have the parts doesn't mean they're all going to work together.
Everything has to work. Yeah, everything has to work in unison. The parts, the tuning, the driving, and if you don't have a combination of success with every single factor, you might not have, a top-tier car.
For sure, yeah. You might just have a car with really expensive parts that, doesn't perform.
Still looks nice, though.
Yeah. Nice. If you ever part it out, you might get some of your money back.
Yeah, some nice billets, some nice titanium.
Yep.
I'd have to say my car doesn't have any titanium on it at all, except the lug nuts. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could probably lose a good amount of weight if I drop all titanium parts on it, and bolts and nuts and all that yadu, but I think we can just turn up the boost one more pound. We'll be all right.
Yeah. And like you said, if you do want to go serious, you get the billet block. We should give a little plug to Angry Arrow there.
Yeah, those guys they're pretty good with what they do, I'd have to say. I see them on a decent amount of drag 4Gs, I have to say.
Especially at the top of the list, you'll find a lot of Angry Arrow brake duct blockers there.
Yeah. It definitely helps. That's just my little side hustle that I have, and I'm glad to see it on a lot of cars, and I like the feedback that I get, and a lot of people say they feel the car's more stable up top, and I commend that.
Definitely. All right, Jason. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy man, so it was an absolute pleasure. I hope some Evo guys get to listen to this, and hopefully it lights a fire under them to hit the track and try to get up there in the top 10.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.